Hi, guys. Welcome to Lock and Load Podcast. We're here with Josh. I'm the owner of Lock and Load Firearms, and
Michelle, the owner of Patriot Wear Holsters.
we are going to talk about 2A issues, especially ones that pertain to Connecticut and upcoming legislation. I'm sorry, upcoming past legislation that is effective October 1st. So we're going to go back and forth. We're going to kind of have a normal conversation about this and see how it goes. So let's start off with 2 days ago's news from the Special Licensing and Firearms Unit of the Connecticut State Police. If you guys haven't heard, didn't see it on social media, I'm going to read you the email that they put out at 11:47 and sent out to FFL dealers. Effective immediately based on state and federal NICS requirements, SLFU will no longer allow private sales of firearms between two individuals. All firearm sales must be facilitated through a firearms dealer. As a dealer, when assisting with private sales, please let the staff know when you call for an authorization so we can code the background check appropriately. As a darn reminder, when assisting with the private sale, the firearm should go into your books and out of your books. Thank you for your cooperation, Connecticut State Police. So let's talk about what that means. Basically, it means there's no longer private sales between two individuals in the state of Connecticut. And how does that affect you guys? On an FFL aspect, we charge for that service. It is time intensive. There's also physical costs like paper, ink. And at the end of the day, it probably takes about an hour worth of somebody's time between the sales associate taking the gun in, logging it into our books, deposing it out of our books, doing the actual paperwork, running your background check, and then double checking all of your paperwork too. So there's a cost involved. Our prices haven't gone up. They're not going to go up. Other stores are doing different things, and that's up to them. But the issue behind it is the stopping the private sales.
It's the NICS version. Apparently, according to the feds, what happened was the way Connecticut was doing it with people calling up, which just started after Sandy Hook. Apparently, they weren't running it through the proper backgrounds. So their fix to this is to have a dealer handle it. It does say in there to recode it if it's a private sale. There is no way to do so according to what I have been told from special licensing. So basically it's just done like an in and an out. So anybody who has already done any sales, through a gun store already where they go in and they're selling it to their buddy, it's the same process. But now it's required. You no longer can sit in your house or your living room or the parking lot and call SLFU and do it between just the two of you.
So this is something that I think was based off a leaked ruling coming from the ATF. I think it was just put out for public comment. But I guess for years now, supposedly, that the state's been doing this incorrectly, that they're not supposed to use the NICS system to run a background check in a private sale. I guess that's what the issue was,
Right.
or the excuse at least.
That's what I'm understanding. I think what the ATF was trying to do, ideally, their concept was to stop the person to persons out in the states where you can just go, hey, Joe, you want this gun? Cool. Give me $200. And you do it without a background check, without anything.
Yep.
Connecticut already had a process in place.
Yep.
However, from what I'm understanding, it wasn't the proper process, and their way of fixing it is just to say no more private sales.
Yeah, so this came out of the blue too. None of us were aware of this. This isn't something passed by the state legislation either. This just kind of seems like an arbitrary decision.
Policy change.
Yeah, that came out of the blue.
Right.
So that was effective now. You can no longer call up to do private sales. People tried to, I guess, yesterday, and they were told no, and you have to go into a store to do them now. So we'll see how that ends up down the road. So going into October 1st, if you live under a rock, HB 6667 was passed by our wonderful government in the state of Connecticut, and signed by King Ned. And among other things that have been banned already, we have actually a good portion of the bill becomes effective at the end of this month. So we're going to go through a few topics, being like 3 guns a month, safe storage acts. And then at the end of the podcast, we're going to talk about the open carry rally on September 30th. So we're going to start with 3 guns a month.
Correct.
Which I thought was in effect already, but apparently it does start October 1st. So I'm not perfect.
Well, when they add 150 different dates and different things for different dates, it makes it confusing.
Yeah, and like a 93-page bill too that is worded horribly.
Correct.
Because that's bills. So 3 handgun a month is the limit. It's not rifles, it's not shotguns, it's not receivers, sharp or suppressors even. It's just handguns, and I would assume revolvers, because that falls under that.
Pistols
aspect.
And revolvers.
Pistols and revolvers. There we go. So the state of Connecticut has no system to track this currently. You're going to find out with a lot of these laws that the state wasn't consulted on this, and your legislators just made the law and they were like, figure it out. Which probably isn't a good thing or a good way to do business.
Nope.
So I don't think there's anything in place to stop somebody from going into, lock and load and buying 2 handguns and going to XYZ gun store and buying another 2 handguns.
Not currently.
Not currently in place, at least in the background check system.
They are looking, from what I understand and talking to SLFU, they're looking at figuring out how to implement it. But like you said, they were not consulted. Most of what just passed in June, it was putting the cart before the horse. So they passed all these laws and then went back to SLFU and went, figure out how to get it done. And this is your time frame. And here we are.
Yeah. So,
basically, if it's okay, so it's 3 handguns per month. Your best mode of operation here, because the state doesn't have a way of regulating it, however, it is law, know the consequences. Okay. Is it possible to hit all these different stores or even the same store at different times and buy more than 3? Probably as of right now. But understand, it's not the law. The law says 3 maximum. The one caveat to that is NRA instructors.
Yeah, they're 6 guns a month.
Correct. But with that being said, they have no way of documenting at this point in time
who's an instructor or not.
Correct. So they don't know how they're going to do that exemption or that leeway, because it's not really an exemption. So it would be a leeway for those people. There's no way of doing that.
There is one other exemption. If you sell a handgun and buy a handgun in the same transaction, that doesn't count. It like cancels each other out. But if you do it in a separate transaction, it doesn't matter.
It also doesn't matter for estate sales.
Okay.
So if you end up getting something, through probate, because someone has passed away, that does not hit that.
Okay. I don't know what this is going to do to stop gun violence, because that was the whole concept behind the bill. So if you don't know this on a federal level, there's a form called a 3310. Anyone can go look this up. And anytime you purchase a 2 or more handguns from a federal firearms licensee, we have until end of business day to report that to the ATF, the state police, and your local PD.
If it's multiple within 5
days.
5
business days. Yep.
So you can buy it one day, go back 3 days later. We still have to fill out that form, just so everybody knows.
Yeah. And that is a federal requirement. So the state is adding a caveat onto something that's already done federally.
Correct.
Because,
well, no, even more so, because you can do a ton of multiples. There was never a maximum of what you can buy. Now they've maxed you out.
Yep.
Because their answer is, well, who needs more than 3 in a month? Well, it depends. If you got money and you want guns, why wouldn't you be able to, in my opinion?
Yeah. Like even for example, and now I fall under that exemption because of the instructor aspect. But both of my Glock 44s for class, both the extractors blew out.
Mhm.
And we sent them back off to SIG, and I had to get another one.
I bought two.
Yeah, you
at
bought
a
two
time.
ones.
Bang bang.
So, and I get maybe that's what the exception is there for, but still, collectors spend money on guns.
Black Friday.
Black Friday too.
People save money and come in and buy.
Yeah.
This is detrimental in my opinion, and they're for no reason, because you're right. What's this going to do to stop violence? You're still going through a background check. You're legally able to purchase these. How is that stopping a bad guy?
Criminals, for the most part, do not come into a store to buy a gun, especially if they have an established criminal record, because they can't get a pistol permit.
Yeah, they get picked up by the cops.
Yeah. That happened one time here.
We've had it happen.
Yeah. So, next one. And this is definitely going to be a Michelle aspect. Safe storage has been expanded. I know beforehand, if you had anyone who was under the age of 18 in your home, you had to have your guns locked up. I believe now, doesn't matter. Guns have to be locked up.
You live alone.
You live alone.
Doesn't matter. I watched the debate on the Senate floor until 4:00 in the morning. So I watched.
I watched until about 1:30. I gave up.
And I watched Senator Sampson, and he was phenomenal.
Yep.
I'm just going to put that out there.
My state senator, by the way, live in Southington.
Awesome guy. But he asked a lot of questions about this. So, in my personal opinion, if I lock my door and I leave my house and my windows are locked, it's in a locked container.
Yeah, agreed.
According to the Senate, they don't believe that. So inside my locked door container house that I have that's already locked, I now have to keep anything in my handguns and my guns and my ammo locked separately in two different locked containers. So they don't care whether it's, a wooden box with a padlock or a safe. They never defined what that is. Yeah. They just want it locked. In my household, I have 3 permitted gun owners. Why would I have to lock everything up?
Yeah.
Their concept, I think, is so that if anybody comes in, because this all stemmed off of Ethan's Law. If people don't know about that happened a few years ago. Feel free to look it up. It was the first safe storage bill that passed a few years ago.
Yep.
And I understand not wanting unauthorized people to get a hold of our firearms. Most responsible people never want that to happen.
Yep.
But this goes well beyond. And so even if you live alone, if people are permitted, you have nobody who is unauthorized, it doesn't matter. When it is not in your possession, meaning on your person or within your reach, it needs to be locked up and separate.
So, and I've said this in my classes before, it's just a way to turn law-abiding gun owners into criminals. And I'll use the example of my household, right? It's me and my fiance and our dogs. I lock my house, right? My doors are locked. My back slider's got the little pole on it. So like you can't open that, right? Garage doors are shut. And pretend I don't have 4 dogs, mind you. And somebody breaks into my home.
Well, that's the first issue.
Steals my property.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the criminal now.
Yes.
No, I'm the victim of the crime,
but
not according to the state now. And this is where I have an issue. Mm-hmm. I've argued with a few people on our wonderful anti-2A group on Facebook that just have so much to say. And they said, well, lock up your guns. Why should I have to? If there's 2 adults in my household and dogs, and I lock my house, like you said, mm-hmm. I don't find the logic behind it. And I think it's an issue if I have to access my firearm.
Well, think about it. You go to bed at night. All right. Many people put a firearm next to their bed, in their bedside table, whatever case may be. Some have it in a vault if you have small kids or whatever, or you want it protected, your choice. Yep. But if you have nobody unauthorized in your home and you want to keep it by your bedside table so you have easy access if you needed it, you no longer can do that. Now, I hear all the time, well, what does it matter? It's in my house. Nobody's going to find out. Again, it comes down to know the laws, know the consequences, because say you fall down the stairs or you have a heart attack and you have an AR sitting by your front door or your back door, or you have a firearm out on your counter that is not within your reach, when EMS comes to your home, so do the police.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And you're not going to think about, oh, wait, I'm not letting the cop in. You're worried about the person that's having a heart attack or yourself and getting help. So you're
Yeah.
going to invite them in. Once you invite them in, that's a whole different ballgame. They now have access to look around and see whatever they can see. So people think, oh, no, they're not coming in. There, things happen. Fires happen. Emergencies happen. Things do happen. So just understand what the consequences are if you end up in a bad situation. Is it right? No. In my opinion, no. But we have to know.
Yeah, that's a good point. What about so we've now expanded the list of prohibited persons.
Yes.
So we have some cheat sheets over here, guys, to stay on topic.
Yay.
All right. And I'm going through a little list here, and I'm looking at the time too. But so the prohibited list has been expanded.
Yes.
So prior to this, one of the big ones was a restraining order. And I actually had a customer right when the Walter PDPs came out.
Oh.
He bought it from a store in Waterbury. And his soon-to-be ex-wife filed a restraining order against him. And he
Which
had
is common practice.
Yeah. And he had to either turn in the gun or sell the gun. And so I felt bad for him. Walter PDPs just came out. They were kind of hard to get. And I was like, I was going to buy the gun. And so he said to me, it was a 6-month, I guess, restraining order, a 6-month hold on his permit, whatever it was. And he's like, I'm going to come back once I get my permit back. And I'm like, all right, man, I'll see you in, 6 months. 5 months later, I hear from him, ask me about, do we have the PDPs? And I'm like, yeah. If not, we can order them. And so he came back, a month after that, 6 months later with his permit in hand and bought a brand new Walter PDP back. So and I don't know anything about the actual, issue with him and his probably now divorced wife. Right. I'm just giving the perspective from me. Seemed like a nice individual, went through the process, got his permit back. But my whole thing, and I've said this in classes before, is, well, month 4, somebody breaks into your house and you don't have a way to defend yourself. Whose fault is it?
Uh-huh. Well, there's a list. Prior to this, there was a list that was passed where, obviously your felony Ds, your felony Cs, misdemeanor A's, I believe.
Is that under red flag? Because I know there's 11 that disqualify you from getting your permit.
There's several charges that fall under these misdemeanors.
Okay.
All right. So red flag's one of them.
Yep.
But there were several, it depends on what that statute, if it falls under those charges. So they had listed not necessarily the charge, but the misdemeanor or the felony.
Okay.
So they did it a little bit different. And now they've expanded it out, and now misdemeanor Bs are also prohibited now. I believe they have now fallen into them. What charges fall under a misdemeanor B, I don't know off the top of my head.
I'm sure there's a good amount.
Yeah, according to this one, it says, a fugitive from justice, which that was already an issue.
That's on the federal 4473.
Correct.
So which is what you fill out every time you buy a gun.
Same with adjudicated as a mental defect.
Okay,
that's already on the form.
Yep.
Which I don't know why they've expanded this. And then they said been convicted in any court of a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence, which again is part of the Fed form.
Yep.
But maybe Connecticut's just trying to get in line with that. I don't know. But I know by expanding it the way they did, it will also catch up a couple of other charges that were not
on there. Yeah.
Ones that were prohibited. So we have to that's another thing. We just have to be, very careful as gun owners I know with me, it keeps my nose very, very clean because I don't want to lose my rights. Back
Yeah.
in the day when I was a hothead, I didn't care so much. Now I care a little bit.
Yeah. It makes you rethink some things, right?
You decide, is it worth it? Is this fight worth it? Not really. We're good.
Yeah. Especially when you hold an FFL.
Correct.
So in the state of Connecticut, you have to maintain your pistol permit to maintain your FFL too.
Yes.
So there's that as well.
Yes.
So off of that, I'll say a part off of that is you have to report your guns stolen immediately. You also have to report it to the Attorney General, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, they expanded it up to, so now we get to tell Tong.
Yeah.
It used to be, you had 72 hours from the time in which you realized it. So it's still from the time in which you realize it. So there's some people that.
Is it still 72 hours?
No, now I believe it's right away. No, it is still with 72 hours, but it increases the penalty charge.
Oh.
So now it becomes an infraction. It was an infraction. Now it's a misdemeanor A.
Oh,
which now is a disqualifier. So that's what they've done. Basically, if you make it so that if you do anything, you have a disqualifier, nobody will be able to buy guns.
Yeah.
Even when it's something that's very innocent.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of these can be very innocent issues that you overlook because you don't see it as being something that would disqualify you.
Well, what if I didn't know it was stolen?
I don't know is never an excuse when it comes to the law. That's why as gun owners, we have to know what they're doing and pay attention. And it's all legalese.
Yeah.
It's very hard to interpret it. You've got to read it. And there are organizations out there that will help you put it into layman's terms. CCDL is one of them. Okay. They're very good at clarifying and breaking it down enough. And if you still have questions or if you don't go through CCDL, lawyers, get friendly with a lawyer.
Yeah. There are obviously programs out there so you can talk to lawyers for a lot, we'll say cheaper.
Yes.
Right. And those are certainly good ways. Saves you money. I've advised people that have come in with issues. I'm like, sign up for this, wait a week, call this person. And that way they can at least get on the right foothold or the right path, I should say. We got a few more minutes here and then we'll wrap it up. So we'll do one more and then we'll move on to open carry. We'll talk about the federal fee for the FFLs or the state fee now.
Yeah.
And the trigger safety or the trigger locks.
Okay.
So if you guys don't know this, and most people don't, when you apply for a federal firearms license, you have to get a form done from your local police department that the police chief has to sign off on.
A permit to sell pistols and revolvers.
Yep. Permit to sell pistols and revolvers. It has to be displayed in your store too.
Correct.
You would think I would know what the name is considering it's on my window. But whatever. That has now increased from $0 to $200.
But that's only if you actually do sales.
Yep,
so
correct.
There's a lot of places that hold FFLs
but don't
do sales.
Yeah.
It used to be in Connecticut where even without that permit to sell, you could transfer up to 10 handguns per year and there was no limit on long guns.
Yeah.
Now that's what this is nixed and taken away totally. So somebody like me, who I don't do retail sales of guns, but I do some storage for people that have needed storage done. And now I have them in my books and I can't get rid of them unless I pay the state $200.
Yeah.
It's great.
And especially for like people that want to get into it and want to start up, that's another $200.
Yep.
That's $200 left. Maybe you're going to spend on a security system or putting bars on a window or putting like some 3M tape on glass or something.
It's just more to the state.
Yeah. And it's more taxes.
And they don't put it towards the special licensing for firearms unit.
Sure. It just goes
in the general fund. if you're going to charge all this stuff for this type of an industry, it should stay within that industry, in my humble opinion.
And now this is going to have effect on the big boys, right? Those stores, doesn't matter, but it hurts the non-established stores, the small guys, the home-based FFLs,
The mom and pops.
the mom and pop shops.
Absolutely.
Where that $200 is, a gun that they can go and make 30, 40, 50 bucks on. Well, now they don't do that. So how much longer is it going to take them to make that?
Correct.
Right. And it's just more taxes. That's my biggest gripe.
Well, that's if they, they cannot, I believe that they can't take away the Second Amendment. Okay. That's a right we have.
They're trying.
Well, yes, because what they can do is they can't take it away, but they can price it out and make it so it's too expensive. Look at, just the permit process that we go through and how much it costs somebody to go get a permit.
About $350 from beginning to end, if not a little more.
They're paying for the opportunity to exercise their right.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me, but this is the way things work.
Yeah. So the last thing we're going to talk about today is the open carry rally by CCDL on September 30th, Saturday, September 30th. That we're going to talk about more about that in the next episode, which should be released next Friday. I believe that'll be the 22nd. That's going to be our episode 2, is more in details about that. But open carry will be illegal as of October 1st, if you did not know that.
But open carry means not just carrying it outside the waist. It means openly carrying it so that your gun is visible. You can still carry outside the waist, but you have to put a shirt over it, sweatshirt over it, coat over it, that kind of thing.
Correct. We're going to talk more in depth about that going forward in our other podcasts, other episodes. But we're going to wrap this one up. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Wherever you guys are seeing this, whether it's just the video, if it's just the audio or it's the video too, leave comments below. In the links below these are going to be links to my website and Patriot Ware's website. So support both of us. Check out Michelle's holsters. They are the only holster company I stock in my store. And they're the only holster company I use now. I've tried out tons of holsters back in the day. It makes me seem really old.
You're not.
But back in the day. And then once we got these in here, I started carrying my guns in them, and now that's all I use. So really good product, and she stands behind her product too.
I do. And I hear it all the time, which is awesome.
Yeah.
We work real hard for that.
So I don't know what I'm carrying yet at the rally. I'll probably do my VTAC.
We should make you a really cool holster for that.
Yeah.
We should talk about
outside
that.
the waistband, obviously.
Yeah.
But that'll be on September 30th. I will be there. We'll give you more details about that in next week's episode. Other than that, guys, get involved.
Yes. The more people that get involved, as much as frustrating as it is, and as much as people go, why? We lose. The more people get involved, the more we're heard. And the way I look at it is I might be losing, but at least I'm fighting. I'm doing everything in my power. So when I do lose, I can go, well, I tried. I did the best I could. I've done my job. We need everybody who carries a firearm. We have over 300 permitted gun owners in this state.
Over 300?
300,000. My bad.
Yeah, right.
300,000 permitted gun owners in this state. We need to hear from every single one of them. And there's also a lot of people that still own guns, like long guns, from before they needed permits.
Yep. And handguns too.
Absolutely. And you can have a firearm, like if you've moved into this state and you brought a firearm, you can have a firearm in your home without a permit.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people or a lot of households that have firearms. It's time to get your voice heard, whether the legislator wants to hear from you or not. They need to know that this is not okay. And there are so many different avenues, and that's another topic we can go into another time,
Yeah.
is have a conversation. But this is something people need to pay attention to. You know, the whole, I didn't know we can't have high cap mags. We still hear that on
I
a
know.
regular basis. It's time to learn the laws, get involved, and do what you can to try to stop it.
Yeah. All right, guys. We will see you hopefully next week for episode 2. And we do have episode 3 already planned too. So we're at least doing this for 3 episodes, guys. Again, my name is Josh. I'm Michelle. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.